In the earlier class, we completed magnetic materials, and in this class, we start the new topic in Unit 5, that is dielectric materials. You studied about the various dielectric materials in the plus 2 level. You know generally that the materials are segregated into different types, as we have seen in the earlier classes, as conductors, insulators, semiconductors, and as a special class superconductors, and we have also seen magnetic materials. In this class we will see a dielectric material, and the syllabus in the unit 5 of dielectric materials is something like this. We will look at the polar non-polar materials, different types of dielectric materials, and different types of dielectric polarizations. We will define what is a dielectric polarization and some expressions for electronic and ionic polarizabilities, and how this dielectric polarizability changes with temperature and frequency. We will also look at that. And what are the internal fields that are caused in the dielectric material when it is placed in the external electric field also we'll see it. And thereby we'll derive Lorentz, we'll see Lorentz, what is Lorentz field, and from that we'll derive Clausius-Mossetti equation. And finally we'll see the engineering applications of dielectric materials. Now what is a dielectric material? In this lecture we will see the introduction to dielectric materials, and later may not be possible to cover the polar non-polar dielectrics here, but we'll see some definitions and then different types of polarizations. If time permits, we'll go to the last two topics, and it may be we will able to see only some introduction to the dielectric materials in this class and some definitions of dielectric polarizations and dielectric parameters. Okay, now you know that a dielectric is a material which is an insulator and generally kept between the plates of a parallel plate capacitor. Now I have taken, this is a parallel plate capacitor, plate 1, and this is plate 2, and these two plates are separated by a distance d, and the two plates are fully covered and completely filled with dielectric materials. You know that capacitors may be with dielectrics or may be without dielectrics. But when the dielectric material is inserted between the plates of a parallel capacitor, then that parallel plate capacitor will have more capacity to hold charge. Thereby, the capacitance of the capacitor can be increased by keeping a dielectric material within the plates, between the plates. So now I am taking a dielectric material, and that dielectric material is one which is a insulator. But in generally speaking, dielectric materials are insulators, but all insulators are or may not be dielectric materials. So when you take a dielectric material, the important aspect is that it should be able to get polarized in the external field, and means that induced charges should be developed on the surface or inside the dielectric material. Now if I keep a dielectric material in an external field, there will be electric dipoles that are there in the dielectric material gets polarized, and because of this one plate is positively charged, the other plate is negatively charged by the application of external field. And because of these positive charges, the dielectric material induces negative charges close to this and positive charges close to this. And the way of formation of induced charges in the dielectric material when kept in external field is called as dielectric polarization. and there are dielectric or say electric dipoles in it. To define this, the dielectric material, we know already that the electrical conductivity is most important factor to categorize the materials, either based on its conductivity or based on its resistivity. So we have seen in the earlier classes, conductors, insulators, or semiconductors are the different classes of a material which shows variable conductivity levels. And an insulator is one which opposes the flow of electricity through it. This is basically because the material have no free electrons. As there are no free electrons in the material, there is no possibility at available energies or at room temperatures to shift an electron from val- uh, valence band to conduction band. That means conduction band is completely empty and valence band is filled. Therefore, as the conduction band is empty, we don't have any free electrons in the conduction band. Therefore, the conductivity is zero. Such materials we call them as insulators. Thereby, as no free electrons are there, as no free electrons are there, it cannot conduct electricity through it. Then, what is a dielectric material? So, dielectric material is one which is an insulator, but it is something different from insulator. So some of the examples of dielectric materials are glass, paper, ebonite, mica, rubber, wood, some polymers, etc. Now, the dielectric material is an insulating material showing high resistivity, does not conduct, but it gets polarized, subjected to applied electric field. What does this mean? And how do you differentiate between the dielectric material and insulator? If the material is used only for insulation purposes, see the figures here, these are the insulators, these are the insulators. Okay, the basic purpose of these insulators is to insulate or provide insulation, not to have any short circuit or to protect the live wire from shock when you touch it. You see, these colored plastic cases are insulators because their main purpose is to insulate the conducting wires, and therefore a insulator or a dielectric material is generally differentiated by their applications. If an insulator is used only for providing electrical insulation, then they are called insulators. Instead, if you use those some of these insulating materials to get induced charges, then we call it as a dielectric material. Now look at this figure. You have a crystal structure here. In the crystal structure, we have barium, titanium, and oxygen. So this is a BaTiO3 crystal structure having titanium at the center and oxygens on the faces and barium on the corners. Such an uh, crystal lattice structure at some temperature below, it will not uh, it will show some dielectric polarization, meaning that formation of dipoles. So this material is an example of a good dielectric material. Here it is a paper capacitor. Sorry, this is a mica capacitor. That means mica is used between the two electrodes as a dielectric material. So here it's a mica capacitor. So capacitors may have paper capacitors, ceramic capacitors, mica capacitors, means that these are the dielectric materials that we have used. So all dielectric materials are insulating materials, one important point. Another important point is it is not necessary that all insulating materials may be dielectric materials. And the major difference between a dielectric material and the insulator is their application. So their application is either electrical insulation. So if you are using primarily for only electrical insulation, they are insulators. If you are using it for induced charges, or we say if electrical charges are induced on the surface, then it is known as a dielectric. This is the major difference between a dielectric material and an insulating material. And you can see some of the examples here. That is an ebonite, a plastic, or insulating materials, barium titanate, paper, mica, etc. or or yeah, some of you are switching on the speakers. Don't switch on the speakers and don't speak. If you want to know, tell anything, you just chat it. Okay. Now we will see what is the dielectric material. Dielectric material simply defined as an insulating material capable of getting see, polarized when placed in a external field and induces charges. While inducing charges, it creates electrical charges in the so dielectric material has an ability to get or produce dielectric materials. But however, some of the dielectric materials will have electric dipoles in them. Some of them don't have electric dipoles in them. So therefore, we should first understand what is a electric dipole, how they are created within the substance, how they behave in an external field. So to know the one, I am now here giving some fundamental definitions which you already know it. So a dielectric material has properties or ability to get polarized. So to get what is meant by polarization. To get polarization, if you should know first what is a dipole. So you know that the dipole is two charges separated by a fixed distance. This we have already seen in magnetic materials that two equal and opposite poles or north pole and south pole separated by a fixed distance is called magnetic dipole. Here two charges equal and opposite, that is a positive charge and negative charge of q separated by a fixed distance d, okay, we call it as a electric dipole. And this electric dipole is formed within the substance because of atomic arrangements or molecular arrangements or ionic arrangements. Some of the materials do have intrinsically the electric dipoles. Some of the insulating materials they don't have this, but they may acquire the electric dipoles when they place in external field. So thereby, if you see this, the one, you know that every dielectric material will have dielectric moment. The product of the charges and the distance between them we call it as dipole moment. And this dipole moment that is present in the dielectric material is most important to segregate them as polar and non-polar dielectric materials. So here I am explaining one of the important parameters of dielectric materials. First, I am now talking that suppose say there is a capacitor of capacitance C when a dielectric is placed. I measure the capacitance of the capacitor when no dielectric is there, that we call it as C naught. So C is the capacitance of the capacitor when dielectric is there, dielectric is present. Now I measure the capacitance of the same capacitor. This is the capacitance of the capacitor when no dielectric is there, no dielectric. So you know that the capacitance of the capacitor is high when you inserted dielectric material, and this ratio we call it as relative permittivity epsilon r of the material, the ratio. And free space like air has permittivity which we call it as epsilon naught. So you can compare these values with magnetic properties. You have mu and mu r and mu naught as permeabilities. So these are the permeabilities of magnetic materials. These are permittivities of magnetic materials, so electric materials. So there are several similarities between a magnetic material and a dielectric material. Magnetic material will show magnetism in the external applied field. Here the dielectric materials are kept in external electric field. So that is magnetic field for magnetic materials. These are electric field for dielectric materials. So you have an equation that the permittivity is given by the product of epsilon naught, the free space permittivity, and multiplied by relative permittivity epsilon r. So permittivity is the parameter actually which is a dimensionless quantity, which also called as dielectric constant. The permittivity is also called as dielectric constant. So this is the permittivity I am taking, and this permittivity when I am taking permittivity, we generally call it as permittivity, and this permittivity is nothing but simply dielectric constant. So this dielectric constant depends on the substance, and it varies from material to material. So we have some materials which are having dielectric constants, maybe 1, 2, 3, 10, some will have hundreds, but we will see some important dielectric materials whose dielectric constant is very, very high. So first important factor you have to know, fundamental, is epsilon is permittivity, and epsilon r is relative permittivity, naught is absolute permittivity or permittivity of free space, and we define epsilon r relative permittivity is equal to the capacitance of the capacitor with dielectric to no dielectric, that is C0. And we have another relation for epsilon. Epsilon is simply equal to epsilon naught epsilon r. These are permittivities, and we also call it as dielectric constant. Dielectric constant is a dimensionless quantity. It is always greater than 1 because the capacity of the capacitor with dielectric is higher than the capacitance of the capacitor with no dielectric. And this permittivity, similar to permeability, describes the ability of the dielectric material to store charges. Permeability is also the ability of the material to pass the magnetic lines of forces into it. Similarly, permittivity is the term that is related to material that shows the ability to store electric charge. And the value of epsilon naught value, that is free space permittivity, is given by 4 pi, or you can write simply in terms of directive units as 8.8, okay, 5 into 10 to the power minus 12 Fermi per meter, minus 12 Fermi per meter. So this is the value of free space permittivity. Now we'll see what is a dielectric polarization. Suppose now I have here a dipole here, and this is the one charge, this is the another charge. I have q1 charge here, I have q2 charge, but both are same. Therefore this is plus 1, this is minus 1. Two charges I am taking. Q is the one charge, q is another charge, but this is plus and this is minus charge, and these are separated by a distance equal to d. Now these dipoles, when I don't keep in electric field, okay, they are not experiencing any force. Suppose say I would like to keep it in the external. Before keeping that in external field, I suppose that the magnetic moment as an electric dipole moment, this is called dipole moment, dipole, I'll take it as a moment, dipole moment, I'll write it as, okay, as the product of any one of the charge, either of the charge, I say q is the charge, so only, and distance between is d. So this is the dipole moment. This dipole moment may be shown by mu, or some textbook they show by m. So dipole moment is the product of the distance between them and either of the charges. So to know more about this, what I suppose is that I take the dipole here, and now this is q, I say maybe plus q, and I say this is minus q, okay, or two charges, this is plus q, this is minus q. Now I suppose here that I apply external field. This
సండే క్లాస్ మండే క్లాస్ మేము రోజు ఇన్నుడేనా ఇక కొత్త కొత్త చాప్టర్లు చెప్తాను మొత్తం.
who is the speaking? So we look at the charge, that is external field, we have kept like this. This is the external field, E is the external field applied, and this is charge plus q, this is charge minus q. We know that the force acting on the charge q is E into q. So therefore when a dipole is kept in the external electric field, a force F equal to product of QE acts on it. When it is acting on the dipole 1, you can see that this is plus Q, therefore charge is in this direction. Okay? The charge on plus Q is in this direction, whereas the charge in minus Q is in this direction. Therefore, these two are equal and opposite. They are equal and opposite in the sense that, okay, minus q, the force is minus qe, here the force is minus qe or minus f, I'll write it as, and here the force is f. So two equal and opposite forces are acting on the dipole, electric dipole, because when it is placed in external electric field, thereby a torque acts on it. When a torque is acting on it, because you know the torque is simply makes the dipole to rotate. Therefore, the dipole starts rotating in this direction, and the torque that is acting on this T is equal to charge into E, that is force into a perpendicular direction is torque. So I'll write QE in, okay, into d sine theta, where d sine theta is the perpendicular distance. So if I just do it like vectors, I have this as d sine theta, this is d cos theta. Therefore, torque acting is QE d sine theta. This is the torque acting on the dipole when you kept in the external field. When you keep in external field, the torque acting makes the dipole to rotate and orient in the direction of applied field. When it is in the direction of applied field, okay, this will be coming something like this. Therefore, when dipoles are there and present in a dielectric material, these are randomly oriented. When the same dielectric is placed between the plates of a capacitor, something like this is positive charge, suppose this is negative charge, okay, then the dipoles are oriented or aligned in the direction of applied field. So this rotation is due to the torque acting on it. Some materials, some dielectric materials will contain the dipoles. That means I take here a dielectric material and they have dipoles in it. This is the one dipole, this is another dipole, this is another dipole. And just like the magnetic moments in a magnetic material, as we have discussed in domains, these are the magnetic. So I have minus charge here, plus charge here. It is a plus charge here, this is a minus charge. We may have a plus here, we may have a negative charge. So these are the dipoles which are oriented in random directions. As they are oriented in random directions, the net dielectric field is okay. So therefore, the first important point you have to know is that in dielectric materials, electric dipoles are present. These electric dipoles gives rise to dielectric moment, and dielectric moment is the product of any one of the charges and the distance between them. QD is the dipole. But in a material like this, there are several dipoles. Therefore, you have to calculate the total number of dipoles per unit volume in a given sample. So, the total dipole moment. So, there are n dipoles, suppose say, and each will have a dipole moment of dq or qd. We'll write it as this is the okay dipole moment I am taking here, and I'm writing like this. So there are n number of total number of dipoles, electric dipoles per unit volume into I take this as the QD. Therefore, I'll say that this is the total dipole moment per unit volume. Here n is simply number of dipoles or electric dipoles that are present per unit volume. This is per unit volume. Unit volume. So this gives you the total dielectric moment of it, and the net, or we say the number of dipoles multiplied by this one gives you dielectric polarization P. So the moment what we are calling the electric dipole moment mu is generally we write it as Q into D. But this Q into D, if you take it, it is the dipoles that are orienting in the direction of applied electric field is directly proportional to the field which we are applying. So we write is S. And thereby I write the induced dipole moment I induced, how much it is there, this must be proportional to the electric field. The electric field you are applying, the dipoles that are generated or induced also increases. So therefore, we'll write this proportionality as sum alpha into E, where alpha is called dielectric polarization. So, but we'll see more about this in the coming classes, because this dipole moment is responsible for differentiating the dielectric materials into two categories. One is called non-polar dielectrics, which you might have studied already in the earlier classes. So dielectric materials are two types. One is non-polar dielectrics, other is polar dielectrics. So what are non-polar and what are polar dielectrics, we have to see. So I told you that some of the materials, dielectric materials, when you take them, they themselves will contain permanent electric dipoles in. Some of them, they don't contain a net electric dipole moment. So if you take a molecule in a neutral system, then if you have to calculate the algebraic sum of all the charges that are there in it. But if you take a material, I know that we have an atom with nucleus like this, and we have a positive charge and we have negative charges, electrons. Now you compare this situation with your earlier known situation of the center of gravity and center of mass. You have seen that the center of mass is the point where the total mass of the object is concentrated. Our center of gravity is where the total weight of the object is concentrated. But you have seen that the center of mass may be inside, lying in the object, or maybe outside also. So center of mass is the point where the total mass of the object is concentrated. Similarly, in a atom, I suppose say that I have the positive charge in the nucleus. So I draw here a nucleus, and this nucleus will have some positive charge in it. This is positive charge. But this entire positive charge is because of the protons that are present. These protons are spread in the area of the nucleus, but the volume of the nucleus is small, but still protons are much smaller, therefore they are spread in the volume of the nucleus. Hence, instead of taking the entire nucleus in terms of just similar to center of mass, I suppose that center of negative charge of the nucleus will be concentrated at one point, and that may be inside. So I am taking the center of the, maybe somewhere here or maybe inside. Now the atom is not only just made by the negative positive charge, we have negative electrons also surrounding like this, and one electron will be in the first orbit or maybe in the next orbit or in the next orbit, something like this. Therefore negative charge is also distributed around the nucleus similar to positive charge that is distributed within the nucleus. Hence I consider here the center of gravities of positive charge and center of gravities of negative charge. Center of gravity of Negative charge is nothing but the point where the entire negative charge is concentrated. And center of gravity of positive charge means that where the point the total positive charge is concentrated. In many of the materials, the center of gravity of positive charge and center of gravity of negative charge will exactly fall at the same location. So I'll take this one, and this is a negative positive charge, and I'll take this is the positive charge, center of gravity, something like this. And I now take the center of gravity of negative charges, that is electrons. If they also exactly fall on this, then the positive charge and negative charge are not separated by any distance. They are exactly coinciding. That means the center of gravity of positive charge and center of gravity of negative charge are exactly coincided, and they are not separated by any distance. That is, d is equal to 0 in a dipole. We have seen that dipole is nothing but two charges equal and opposite, minus q and plus q, separated by a distance, and a d. Now, if d is equal to 0, means that they are axially combining. Therefore, there is no dipole formation. So, in some materials, the center of gravity of negative charge exactly falls on center of gravity of positive charge. Therefore, no dipoles are formed within the material. And such materials, when they are not in the external electric field, they don't show any dipole moment, and they are called as non-polar dielectric materials. So non-polar dielectric materials are those materials, okay, which are having net electric dipole moment 0, or they don't have any permanent electric dipoles present in them, because the center of gravity of positive charge and negative charge are exactly falling and coinciding at the same time. So in most of the general cases, if you take, for example, linear molecules are non-polar. So if you look at this, the monoatomic molecules, like for non-polar, examples are monoatomic molecules like helium, neon, okay, they don't have direct dipole moments in them, okay, and argon, and you also take krypton, etc. These are monoatomic molecules. These monoatomic molecules are generally non-polar. Non-polar dielectric materials are those which are not having any electric dipoles present in them when no external field is applied. This is the condition. If external field is applied, non-polar dielectrics also will get acquired the dielectric moment. So, and not only this, we can also say that the atoms such as H2, N2, Cl2 are also non-polar. So mostly the symmetric molecules are non-polar molecules. Symmetric molecules, if you take say carbon dioxide, I have a carbon here, and this carbon is attached to oxygen here and oxygen here. This is a linear molecule. So these two oxygens which are joined linearly, okay, they have mu in this direction and mu in this direction, they cancel each other. But however, if I take a molecule like water, you know that we have oxygen here. This oxygen is linked to two H's in water, and this is H, this is H. And these two are separated by an angle of 105 degrees. Okay. So in such cases, we have net dipole moment. And also we can say that all hydrocarbons are non-polar. Okay, but in hydrocarbons, if you take it, one of the group is replaced by some other group, like H is replaced by halogen Cl, then they acquire dielectric moment. So a non-polar dielectric material is one which is not having any of the dielectrics present in it, because center of gravity of positive charge and center of gravity of negative charges are close. Those are non-polar. Polar means that in some cases, because of the molecular structure or because of the atomic structure, you can see that this is the positive charge of 1, and I'll take negative electrons circulating about it, something like this. In such materials, because of their molecular structure, the positive charge will be having its effective center of gravity somewhere here. Now, the negative charge center of gravity will be in such a way that it is slightly displaced from it and it will not coincide. This distance is very, very, very small, but still there are two charges which are separated by a fixed distance, and this fixed distance, whatever you are taking, that will be d. So therefore we say that there are possibilities in dielectric materials that center of gravity of positive charge and center of gravity of negative charge are not coinciding. When they are not coinciding means they get separated. Separated means that there is equal and opposite charges separated by distance, a fixed distance d. Therefore a dipole is formed. Hence those dielectric materials which are having the dipoles, electric dipoles present in them without the application of external field, electric field, is called polar dielectric materials. So polar dielectric materials are those which contain dipole moments in them even in the absence of external electric field. Hence we have polar and non-polar dielectric materials. In non-polar dielectric materials, the center of gravities are coincided, therefore there are no permanent electric dipoles in them when they are not in external electric field. But in some dielectric materials, center of gravities of positive charges and negative charges are not coinciding, therefore permanent electric dipoles are there in them, and therefore they contain non-zero effective electric dipole moment, simply like ferromagnetic materials. Ferromagnetic materials also we have seen that the magnetic dipole moment, net magnetic dipole moment is not zero, because they have the dipoles present in magnetic nature. Here in electric nature, the dipoles are present within this. Therefore, if you take two say molecules like carbon dioxide, CO2, carbon dioxide is a linear molecule, therefore net dipole moment is zero. But on the other hand, if you take H2O, CO2, H2O may be looking identical, but CO2 is a linear molecule which is a non-polar, whereas H2 is a H2O, water is a asymmetric molecule, therefore there is a dipole moment on it. Hence, the examples for the polar, non-polar dielectrics which I have given earlier, I am repeating as monoatomic molecules like helium, neon and argon, etc. and also the molecules like H2N2, Cl2, CO2. In case of that means mostly non-polar dielectric are symmetric molecules. And coming to the polar molecules, they are asymmetric molecules. Asymmetric molecules like water. So, in general, all hydrocarbons are mostly non-polar. But if you replace one of the hydrogen atom by chlorine, something like this, if you take CH4, okay, simplest hydrocarbon, then the dipole moment of CH4, which is a methane, is 0. But whenever one hydrogen atom is replaced by chlorine, then we have methyl chloride HC3Cl, or we have chloroform CHCl3 if 3 H's are replaced, or we have carbon tetrachloride if all H's are replaced by chlorine. So if all H's are replaced by chlorine, then you don't have any dipole moment, net dipole moment. But if one is removed, chloroform CHCl3, then we have a net permanent electric dipole in it, hence it is a polar dielectric material. So if you take polar or non-polar dielectric material, we will say that, okay, for polar dielectric materials or non-polar dielectric materials, the total number of dipole moments that are present per unit volume, we say n into mu, where mu is the dipole moment, which I write it as n into alpha E, where alpha is dielectric polarization, alpha. This is for non-polar. If I take polar materials, okay, then I'll write n into the average value of all those dipoles which are present in different atoms. So I stop here. In the next class, we will talk about the other important relations between the fundamental parameters of electric. So if you have any doubts, you please discuss.